I do wear high heels, but I don't wear them every day. Like today, I have a little bit of a heel for out on the street. I don't wear them every day because my heels are a little too high to be in them every day. So it's more about getting a bit dressed up or dressed up. Therefore, I wear high heels. And it's a good feeling when I do it. If I was to do it on a regular basis, I don't think that it would be necessarily a good feeling. Yeah, because it gets tiresome. It's not that I'm opposed to the heels, therefore I do organic pumps. It's a new expression for me, and I like it because I'm finding that I'm developing a different strength in how I am using the floor and imagining actual stilettos on my feet. And what happens in releve or in the organic pumps, what happens in organic pumps versus actually wearing high heels. Right. Because we're relying on a platform to sustain that feeling, whereas the sensation that I have is different. So there's something more fluid in the feet coming up my legs to the physical body. And my legs are a lot stronger because of it. My feet are a lot stronger because of it. There's something that happens when I'm dancing in releve. And again, it's that fluidity. And I described a sensation as if I've just turned on a water faucet. Internally, something wakes up. And because I'm wet internally, everything is easier. The use of the pelvis, yeah. So my liquid totally wakes up in that releve. And it's not because I'm exaggerating the movement. It's the pushing into the floor relaxes my physical body. And I tap into what I feel is a very bright place within me that I feel we all have. But I think that when we're not connected to our liquid, I feel that it does the opposite. Instead of it being liquid, I feel that this is my theory anyway. Okay. My theory is that the physical body kind of dries up internally. Things get tight, things get hard. The concept of walking and dancing in organic pumps, there's an internal freedom for isolation. I feel like that's very feline, very feminine energy, which men also get to tap into. And I've often heard, how come your men are so sensual? And I'm like, well, they're giving themselves the freedom to tap into that, which I am talking about. There is a spot in us that when we nurture it properly, it just gets stronger and brighter. And when you dance from that place, there's such high level of honesty that men don't have to compromise their masculinity, but yet they're very sensual.
Yes, yes.
And women don't have to exaggerate their femininity. It just naturally comes to be. I feel like whatever everybody projects outward ends up being honest for them at that moment, which to me is really important. Rather than me saying change what you're doing because you look to this or to that. There is exaggeration for a lot of the men that dance in pumps and or proceed to dance in a very feminine way. I think it's wonderful that men are doing it. I actually applaud them because I know that it's not easy to dance in pumps, etc., etc. Right. However, I do feel that for a lot of the guys, there's the take on women is usually that very bitchy character.
Right.
So therefore, the need to exaggerate even the walks is bitchy as opposed to just stunning and gorgeous and sexy. And as you were saying, it's wonderful to see a strong male put on pumps or even be on organic pumps, but not feel like they have to exaggerate it.
Right.
And I think when you don't exaggerate it, you allow it to be honest, and because it is honest, I think that the representation of what you're doing is for me, easier to digest because I'm seeing you as opposed to 10 of you looking the same.
Right.
I'm looking at you, representing your version of a feminine entity. It's come in part from a lot of my training, but then me taking my training a step farther and becoming what I call that mad scientist that wants to know what happens when you mix all of the different colors, not together at the same time. But one day you're mixing yellow and green, and the next day you're mixing this, that. So I've spent X amount of years literally playing with colors and with textures internally, and with music and how music inspires me, or seeing something out in the street in the subway, uh, or seeing a scenery in the park or out in the wilderness, and how that affects me, how it influences, etc., etc. So because I've taken the time to investigate, and I've done it by way of movement as opposed to by way of intellect,
Right.
I've made discoveries, and I like the discoveries that I've made. They've made sense to me, and again, I've found uh, that I've spent a certain amount of time nurturing that which I have found, which is that bright place in myself that I think we all have to work from, because I feel like that's that honest place. I feel that dance is a very spiritual journey. Um, when nurtured consistently and properly, we inevitably get to journey inward enough so you start to feel the sensations that I'm working on, that I'm sharing in classes, and focusing on the chakras and the energy in the chakras, the use of the energy from Mother Earth uh, into my physical body and downward, the use of the breath from my solar plexus, which is the lower abdominal, first, second chakra, into my lower back, and what that sensation does to me. It has strengthened me, so I feel I am rejuvenated again as I get older. So the breath has enhanced everything that I do, because again, I've investigated it, and it is sexy intentionally because it has actually taught me to breathe properly, to create space in my physical body. So I'm kind of living to tell a tale that even though I'm getting older, if you take care of it, when you take care of it, it will stay. All that energy, that internal energy, stays awake, and it continues to support you. Um, the breath in the lower back, I feel, is super important. There's, from a certain point in the body, there's energy that is pressing into the ground, which is the lower ab, and or we could go as low as the perineum. Breathing into the perineum, pressing down with your legs, your feet, and lengthening from that same place. Breath first in the lower back, and feeling that breath coming up your spine. Now that I've done that enough, I don't have to work hard at it. So I'm passing it on as best I can because I personally understand that it works. And at some point, it becomes effortless because it continues to support your movements. The use of the back is a very strong connection to my feline, my feminine power. Uh, Again, I feel it's honest, as when I use my arms, rather than thinking to isolate the arm movement, is stemming from my core, my back, to the arms, etc., etc. So for me, I'm kind of addicted to the honest movement versus just moving for the sake of moving, or intellectualizing the movement. So it's a very organic process.